Hello everyone, this is Joakim from Sabaton, and you're watching Loud TV. Take care and see you on the road. Yes, it was very much a cool time in the studio, but it was just as bad before, Now we had proven, I think with Heroes we proved that, Sabaton can still be Sabaton, even with, Chris, Hannes and Tobbe, and they really belong, and we've proven that on stage as well. But performance anxiety, everything, when I start writing for a new album, at least for me, it's the first days before I really get started, it's desperation. I hate it. Nothing seems to be good. But then there's usually one song or something that, yes, I can still do this. And once I got that song, it goes pretty good actually. I'm really loving that process because I get up in the morning, I do a little bit of workout, maybe I run with the dogs or something, and then I sit in the studio the whole day and I write. And that's the part I love. But then at the end, when you've been writing for several months and you're writing intensively, the deadline is coming. All of a sudden I start hating everything. It's not good enough. And even the good stuff I start hating, And that's at a certain point when I start listening back and comparing it. I think it's a natural process. Intellectually, I know not every song that I write can be the best Sabaton song ever. But emotionally, I want it to be that way. So it's a bit of a love-hate relationship for me to write an album. But to be in the studio this time was even better. Because with Heroes, as I talked about earlier, we had to prove that Chris, Hannes and Tobbe belonged in Sabaton. Which meant we had, maybe it was me, maybe it was them as well, who stayed really much in what Sabaton had done before. While as now we think everybody proved that. Now we can hear more of Hannes' drum playing, his style in playing drums, the drum fills. Chris and Tobbe on the guitar solos, we can hear more of their musical identity being more them and less, not held back, but less limited to the Sabaton formula. And that was really nice actually to see, and in many cases, especially with the drums and the guitar solos, I was so positively surprised. And also we recorded in April, May, not January, February, that helps a lot. Instead of having minus 35 and your car won't start, now we could, go out and do a little bit of a barbecue in the middle of the day. Not perfect, but it has to reach a very high standard. I used to be devastated if not everything turned out that I expected it to be. Now it doesn't have to be as I expected, but I have very, especially on myself, high standards. I want to keep it that way, and sometimes it's counterproductive. But I'm slowly but surely learning, that sometimes it can be different than I expected, but also better. I think one of the strongest points, is the variation in the album. It still sounds like Sabaton, and yet it's like a roller coaster ride. I wouldn't say there are any shocks there, but there are certainly a few surprises. I don't want to destroy, the total surprise for anyone listening, or we can take the single Lost Battalion that we released already. People have been asking about the drum sound, like, what is going on here, And I said, there are no drums, what are you talking about? Well, what do you mean? Well, actually, the kick drum that you do with your foot, that's a 50 caliber machine gun. The snare drum, it's a pistol, 9mm. And what you think is a hi-hat is actually a bayonet. So, stuff like that. Other songs are musically different, maybe in major instead of minor. So, some songs I would say are harder than you would expect from Sabaton today. So it's, I don't want to spoil the surprise if there are people who want to listen to the album for the first time and don't have it spoiled. a little bit of everything there. I think normally I'm not a huge fan of the bagpipes. I think they're a great instrument alone on the field. That's, you know, or maybe with a few drums. On a funeral maybe, for a Scottish soldier, if you think Sabaton terms. Normally I'm not a big fan of bagpipes in a other music setting mixed with other instruments, because they have a very nasal, harsh sound to them, so it's always hard to get them to mix well with other instruments. But that, I think, shows the competence of Peter Täckgren, who produced the album, that he could actually take bagpipes and just make them go into a hard rock, heavy metal song without taking over totally. It's always comfortable and uncomfortable with Peter. He knows everybody in the band so much now. I mean, especially over the years, we've been doing, you know, regular drinking together as well. So he knows everyone personally. So he knows how hard he can push us, and he always takes it one step harder, you know. When I think, yeah, that was good, he said, yeah, it was. So let's do it better. Oh no, come on, you can't be doing this. I've been singing for 3 hours, I'm almost dying here. Yeah, but I think you can do it better. When you get angry, you get better. So fuck off, sing, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's impressive to see. He's been doing this is the third Sabaton album he's the whole producer of. And he is having the same performance anxiety as I have, but from a different view. For me, it's the songs initially. For him, it's, he's worried the kick drum maybe sounds better than Carolus Rex, but maybe the snare doesn't, and to get the production sounding better. And that's a good sign. It means that he cares. He just doesn't want to do it and get on with it, you know. Yeah, thanks. I really like that too. It gives away, you understand what it is with the title and the cover, but it doesn't give away everything, but you kind of easily get the concept that this is an album about last stands. But considering that you have a modern soldier, you have a samurai, you have a Spartan hoplite, and you have the winged hussar there, you understand that this is going to go, you know, in different time zones for sure. And I mean, we're also in Africa and on this album, so geographically and also from a time frame point of view, I think we're stretching out like we never did before. And it was kind of cool. There are other things to war than tanks and machine guns, you know. Well, when we thought of Last Stand, obviously there are certain events that come into your mind directly. One of the most famous ones of all time, and also thanks to the movie 300, would be, you know, Thermopylae and Sparta. So some of these were already in our mind when we started thinking about the subject. I would say a good 30 to 50% are thanks to mails or books we've given to us by our fans, because every country has its own history. So what is common knowledge for a 10-year-old in France, maybe somebody who's interested in history from America have never heard about, you know. It's so different. And so thanks to our fans, we found some really interesting, you know, last stands that we otherwise wouldn't have found. And for the first time in history, a Google search gave us an idea. That was fun. We always said, no, we don't use it that way. But this time we had to go bite the bullet. Just for the hell of it, we were, you know, we just Googled famous last stands, or the greatest last stands in history. And we know pretty much, yeah, we know about that one, we know about that one, we know that one, but we don't like it, so we're not going to do it. And then it comes the last stand of the Swiss Guard. Swiss? Why were they fighting? They're supposed to be the Vatican then. And then we found the story of the sack of Rome in 1527 and the 189 Swiss Guard who tried to protect the Pope. And 42 of them escaped through Passetto di Borgo to Castel Sant'Angelo. And that story was so fantastic. And that's the first time in Sabaton history we just, you know, Google and we actually learned something that we didn't know before. I mean, of course, there's stuff on the internet. Going to Wikipedia, if we're researching a subject, is a great source of material, because you can see the synopsis, is this good enough to make a song out of, and then if you like it, you want to know more, you can always go to the sources and see where you can find more about it. I've been to several, some of them before we wrote the song, some after we wrote the song. So much has changed from Thermopylae in Greece. I love the story of the 300 Spartans and the other, of course, you know, they were not the only ones there. There were other Greek states there fighting. But so much has changed, you know, the sea has moved about 1 kilometer. So you have to imagine that the sea is up and creates this pass. The hot gates, as it's the hot pass. And it's really hard to do it. I really found it interesting to run around there, and but I think, and also we sang about the Battle of Isna. We played there on the 70th anniversary of the battle, so we were playing on the battlefield 70 years after. That was a strong moment emotionally for me. But I think the one that was most impressive visually, we came there about half a year after we did the song, was Gallipoli in Turkey. We sing in the cliffs of Gallipoli. To see the cliffs they had to climb, to see how the trenches that the fighting sites, how close they were. They preserved a lot of it. So, and that, you know, battle must have been hell on earth. But if you look around, it looks like paradise. So it's full of paradoxes, but it's a bittersweet feeling, actually. It's strange, actually. Sometimes we're so busy doing albums, touring, planning the next step, that we forget enjoying now. I think that's one of my biggest issues with this. And that's probably why I love to be on stage. Because when I'm on stage, only now exists. Next second doesn't matter. The last second doesn't matter, only now. And it's rarely I have the time to be in the now, because there's always plans being changed and stuff like that. But it's, even though I'm at this moment pretty tired, I'm pretty stressed, we have a lot of things happening at the same time, and we're doing a festival summer at the same time as we're doing promo, at the same time as we're looking through the artwork of the album. I'm listening to the final masters and of the extra material. I'm still not feel like giving up, but I'm looking at, you know, the future, like, yeah, as you said, we did our few. We toured with both Iron Maiden and Scorpions before. Great people, both band and crew. We're gonna have a good times. I grew up listening to these people. And they still do great shows. And Accept as well. I mean, there's a proof that you can do classics in the 80s and do classics in the 2000s, you know, and still put on a good show. So, and yeah, we played with Queen and Twisted Sister on Sweden Rock, you know, just a week and a half ago. So now talking about it, I realize that I can appreciate it. So thanks for bringing that up. But sometimes we're so focused on what we are going to do next that we rarely have the time to sit down and just think about what's happening now or what just happened 1 minute ago.